Okay, so the One Piece investors are absolutely crashing out, and it is all my fault. I made a video earlier today, just a few hours ago, about my opinion on the investability of One Piece TCG. I had no idea there was a One Piece TCG part of YouTube. I thought this would only go out to the Pokemon people, but apparently I was very wrong. And I've never had a video with so many dislikes that quickly. So I want to clear a few things up and also put a little salt in the wound because I just honestly feel the way I feel. Post edit Brian here. I wanted to slide this in because I explain it a little bit later, but not very well. If you've been investing in One Piece for the past year, you truly believe in this thing's longevity and IP. Good for you, boo. I'm not going to judge. My main critique for One Piece investors is the ones that are moving all of their assets from Pokemon or from sports or from Magic into One Piece just because the TCG player chart is going down and the One Piece one is going up. My main people I'm clowning on are those people, and there are a lot of those people, and the TCG player charts make that very clear. So I'm not picking on One Piece for the sake of One Piece. I'm mostly making fun of the people that are moving their assets all over there because they will lose money and they will absolutely go broke. So I wanted to make that clear. I don't hate One Piece. I don't hate One Piece investors. I'm just clowning on the ones that all of a sudden decided it was a good idea. Let's continue with the video. Overall, I must say I am disappointed by the One Piece investor community because the only rebuttals I did get besides "you're so jealous" were just things that I mention in the video, sometimes only 30 seconds into the video, and I didn't hear any really good arguments for why I as an investor should care about this IP. I'm going to just go to a couple of the clips real quick. So this is 20 seconds into the video. I personally do not know much about it. I watched the Netflix live show and that's it. So keep that in mind when I'm sharing my opinion on this. I did not. That, my friends, is called a disclaimer. Basically, take what I say with a grain of salt. Now, I'm not going to read through all the comments because that's really boring, shitty content, but that's one of the rebuttals people have is I know nothing and I should be shamed for that. And I kind of mentioned that in the beginning. And then 38 seconds into the video, I say this. A successful IP does not directly translate into a successful TCG. If IPs translated into TCGs perfectly, we'd make a TCG with Ronald McDonald, Jesus Christ, and SpongeBob. Okay, so that's obviously kind of tongue-in-cheek humor, but I was trying to open up a conversation, get people to convince me that One Piece is going to be a great TCG long term. And the only two arguments in the comment section were about the IP being strong, which I personally have already put that aside as a reason I don't believe in it. And then me not knowing about One Piece, even though I already made the disclaimer, I don't know that much about One Piece. I'm disappointed. I thought there'd be more meat to this discussion. So before we get to the TCG player chart clicking, because it's that kind of video today, I also wanted to double down on the fact that the age of an IP has nothing to do with its success on the TCG either. Dragon Ball, like I said in my first video, is over 40 years old. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is 30-ish years old. Hot Wheels, TMNT, Barbie, all of these successful IPs, at least American IPs, they are all between 50 and 100 years old. Winnie the Pooh is 100 years old. Now, there's a lot of Timmies out there who think I'm comparing Winnie the Pooh to One Piece. And to those Timmies, you need to go back to high school debate class, where if you make a statement, it needs to apply to the majority of situations or it's not a good argument. So if you're saying One Piece is a good TCG because it's been around a long time, you need to look at every other IP that's been around a long time and include that in your argument. The argument that One Piece is a strong IP is also not a good argument from a debate perspective because there are other IPs that are as strong, if not stronger, than One Piece. And there are going to be people that go, well, Brian, how do you know Pokemon's a good long-term investment? 3 decades of history. 3 decades of history. How do you know sports cards are a good investment? Decades of history. One Piece has no history. I made the argument in the video that the only reason One Piece is getting such love on YouTube right now is because the people that had it, their collector app just shot up all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden they're rich. The people who did not have their collector app shoot up overnight, now they're all simping for One Piece and selling their sports cards and selling their Pokemon cards to get in on it because they think, oh, Pokemon's dead, sports are dead, One Piece will get me rich. That was my biggest critique is all these people moving into One Piece now, because we'll see after doing some TCG player chart clicking that you had a lot of time to get into One Piece within the last 6 months, and the people who did, good for you. I genuinely hope you're enjoying your riches, and I personally would sell off to all the people jumping in on the bandwagon. Like, I would sell whatever cases you have that have skyrocketed in the past 2 weeks, because there's a lot of fake One Piece fans who are just moving from Pokemon. And you might be wondering, well, Brian, where's the data that they're moving from Pokemon? And I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I'll show you just some interesting charts and you can look at it from there. So OP08, you see around November, mid-November, it shoots up. Parabolic, as the kids say. So you got the blue bottom. That's been going up pretty steady. That's kind of the OG. That's like the base set first edition of One Piece. You got the white box, shoots up a lot in mid-November. OP08, blah, 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 shoots up a ton in mid-November. This one here shoots up a little bit in mid-November. This one shoots up a ton 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 in mid-November. Mid-November, mid-November, mid-November. Like, do you see how this isn't like a natural investment? This one's chill. OP12's chill. But do you see how this activity isn't like normal investing? Like, no wonder people in the YouTube comment section are crashing out that I offended them, because they all of a sudden got like super rich in their collector app, and they're probably like, oh, I was right. And it's just a big hype bubble, because if we look, that's all mid-November. Now let's go to Pokemon. What happened in mid-November in Pokemon? So we see mid-November, it's the opposite of One Piece on almost all these sets. Obsidian Flame somehow doing pretty well. Paradox, mid-November, it all went to shit. Temporal, pretty well actually. Temporal was like underprinted, they say. Twilight Masquerade went down quite a bit in mid-November. Surging Sparks went down from the peak quite a bit in mid-November. Journey Together went down quite a bit in mid-November. Stellar Crown quite a bit in mid-November. Do you see how like in mid-November all the Pokemon stuff started crashing, except for Destined Rivals? That's a good one. Mid-November Mega, mid-November Phantasmal. I'm not an analyst. I'm not a professional. I don't have an abacus that I'm moving around, but I feel like there's something there where Pokemon, everything went to shit in the past 6 months, and One Piece, everything is skyrocketing. It's just money moving from one thing to another, from compulsive, tumultuous, paper hand, I'm scared of everything people. And I've threw in the sports card guy, who I'm sure is a great guy. There's a lot of people coming to his defense. I don't know this man. I don't know his name. I do now because people tagged him. But I have no problem with the guy that sold all his sports card and then jumped in One Piece. I just think it's a stupid move. No problem with the man. I feel like he's just jumping on the hype cycle too. I respect One Piece investors who were investing in One Piece a year ago. I think Nostalgianomics actually made a video about One Piece like a whole year ago. Like, I respect the people who were doing this a year ago. Like, those people actually had faith in the IP. Like, all the people in the comment section crashing out, I am relatively confident that most of them are all right here. I mean, the light blue bar is the quantity sold. And it's like, man, you don't believe in the IP either. You just jumped in because everyone else was. The people that bought here, I'm a lot more willing to listen to your argument about why this is a great long-term hold. But the problem is, again, in my YouTube comments, there's no meat. There's nothing there that I didn't address in the video. There was a super funny comment on Instagram from this guy here, who I'm sure is a fantastic guy. I have nothing bad to say about him, but he talks about One Piece and, giving love to the sports guy, and there's like a whole thread here. And I put, debating a silly investment decision on a baby announcement post is the top signal of top signals. This video is literally me announcing the birth of my daughter. Any.com. We're having a baby. Baby girl. March 2026. It's happening. The princess of... Like, I mean, what's a bigger top signal than debating One Piece investments on a baby announcement video? I mean, that's hilarious. Now, it was my most recent post, so I understand that. Like, that's what people do. They go to the most recent post and they say their piece. I just feel like maybe like choose a post that isn't me announcing my baby. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. That's not serious. I have no ill will towards any of these people. I genuinely don't. I really do hope that you all get rich. I hope that I'm wrong. and that you all sail into the sunset rich, just like I did with the MetaZoo people. But I do believe in what I say. I truly do believe that in 5 years, people aren't going to care. Like the people buying now certainly will lose a shitload of money. I think that's the best way to say it. If you bought one piece at MSRP, I think you're going to be great. I think in 5 years you'll make money. I think you'll make a lot more if you just sell it off now and buy something better. But I don't think you're going to lose money. I don't think it's going to be My Hero Academia $40, $30 under map pricing. I just see all these people looking at the TCG player charts going up and going, I need to get on it. It's probably too late, is my point. The people saying Pokemon is crashing because the TCG player chart is like this need to also say that One Piece is in a bubble because their TCG player looks like that. You can't criticize this and support this. Like they are the same. It's FOMO and it's stupidity and it's emotion on both sides.